Okay, apologies for the noise. The set is on minimum volume, so there is a problem with the amplifier. Just a little bit of progress. I have found a signal. I've got my little signal tracer here connected up to the negative, and on this transistor here, which is on the circuit board TRS5 on the emitter and collector, so I've got a signal coming through there. So that's coming through fine. So looking at the schematic, let's turn that off for a minute. God, dear me. Looking at the schematic, which is not the exact right one for the set. We've got a point here. Let's get you in a little bit closer. Okay, so that's this transistor back here. As I say, I've got a signal here. I've got the signal coming into the IF can, the transformer can. But I've got nothing on the base of this transistor here. Sorry about that. Yeah, so I've got no signal on the base of this transistor here, OC75, which is in the amplifier section. So somewhere between here and here, I've lost the signal. So there's various things it could be. There's an electrolytic, a couple of electrolytics. And there's this switch, which is part of the tone switch. That's this top section. The bottom section there is the FM switch. So I'm in FM at the moment, so it should be coming through there. See 2 and 3, 2 and 4. So I need to really be looking in this area to see why I'm not getting anything up to here, and it could be these switches. So if I pop the set back on again, the input to the amplifier is through this transistor down here, and that is on the schematic transistor number 6, so I should have a signal on the base there. So let's pop it on. Make sure I've got my signal there. Very loud. Absolutely nothing there at all. So somewhere here we have a problem. Now I say it's not going to be that transistor because there is no signal getting to it. So I've got to look at a capacitor here. What I'm going to try and do is probably going to have to take the whole board out, I think. Strip it out to get into this board just to make sure we've got these diodes are working okay, and that we've got a signal coming out of this can. We've definitely got a signal going in through here, through R118, because I've got some signal either side of that one. I'm assuming these capacitors are inside the IF can. It looks like everything there is inside the can. So look at these points here. Yeah, it's fairly straightforward. I don't think I'm losing my signal through this one because it is getting through there, so So we've got a few electrolytics to have a look at. So we've got 1, 2, 3. Well, that's probably these two here first. But as I say, I want to check these diodes, so it looks like I'm going to need to take the IF board out, which means the whole chassis has got to come out. So, interesting, but still worth doing. It has been a bit butchered, this set, which is a shame, but I don't think there's nothing that can't be fixed in it. Oh, just one other thing that I found. I'm going to need to find where this goes. Let me just zoom you in if I can. Let's get it back a little bit down onto this area. Steady. We have this little guy, absolutely not connected to anything. Now it could go to either of these wires, but I'm thinking it goes to the green, but again I haven't got the exact schematic for this one, but it could go to either, it'll reach both. But again, it just shows you that someone has been in here messing, and just hoping they haven't twiddled anything. If they haven't twiddled anything, we got a chance of fixing it. If not, unfortunately, it won't be doable. Let's say we've got some nasty soldering of that. That transistor has definitely been out for whatever reason. Someone's had a go, which, you know, it's not always a bad thing, but 9 times out of 10 you do it more harm than good. Anyway, next step is to get this out of the chassis. So get it out of the chassis and then we'll see where we go from there. Okay, just while I'm on the subject of that capacitor that's hanging off, this is the volume pot here, look, in this area. That is that capacitor that's got its leg hanging off, so it's connected to contact number 2 on the FM switch. So if you look at it on the thing, it's actually linked across with this green wire. You can see that very well. Let's get you in there a little bit different. So yeah, this green wire links across and joins up over here onto the FM switch. So that is where that's got to go. Yeah, that's where that's got to go. So I'm just going to tack that back on now, just so I don't lose track of where I am. As I say, I've touched it on there, and it doesn't make a blind bit of difference. So just going to tack it back on. But what I'll probably do is desolder those in a bit and solder them back on properly. Cool, yeah, shocking. Okay, that's firmly back on there. So I'm going to carry on with my original plan of getting it off of the out of the chassis, out of the case even. So bear with me, I'm going to get that done. Okay, I need to crack on with this one. So as I say, I've tacked on that capacitor now, so I'm just going to get out the chassis, which is a bit of a job with these, I must admit. Yeah, it's debatable whether to just desolder the wires there to pull it out, but anyway, it's a devil to get out the chassis, as I found with my other one, but they've got to come out. That seems to go on forever. Really fine thread on these. Oh, there he is, that's one. I did notice let's get my tweezers. Get some tweezers out here. I did notice a washer attached to the speaker, magnetically obviously, so I'm not sure where that one came from, but it's just floating around inside, which doesn't give you much faith, does it? Another one up in there, can I get at that one? So these are lovely little sets, these. Not the easiest to work on, but well worth the effort, I think, anyway. As I say, I've messaged the owner just to see if he's happy enough for me to carry on with it. I'm hoping he says yes, because nice to get to grips with it. See, these have all got, I'm using a 5.5mm nut driver. It's probably an imperial size, but this seems to fit quite well. Or nut spinner, whatever you call it. There we are. I'm going to need to pop the front dial off and say it's a little bit. It's a shame he's forced that one on a little bit. Ah dear. Oh well. Yeah, looks like that's all that's holding it on now. It's not the right cover for this radio, unfortunately. What I don't want to do is break it, because I haven't got another one, and there it goes. No, that's going to need to be glued back on, unfortunately. It's not quite deep enough, I don't think. It looks like it's already got a massive lump of glue on it, so I think that's... Dear, oh dear. Got it. So I was going to need some epoxy to get that back on there, but doable. Right, now we've got to get the indicator. And we're looking good now. Remember, I know I had fun and games getting the other one apart. That's all been bent as well. Right, get that out the way. Here she comes. There we are. One chassis out. Shame about the knob, but as I say, I can fix that. Hopefully. And it's still got to come apart because I need to get at that board in the centre. I'm waiting for an answer on whether to carry on with this one. Just going to do a couple little servicing bits to it. This tuning capacitor is absolutely seized. It's really scratchy for some reason. So I've got some oil in the front of it there. That's helped it a little bit, but it's still really crunchy and crispy. Let's have a look down there. Be careful you don't get any oils on the plates on these. Well, let's get in there. Anyway, that's a lot better now. I can turn it easily with my fingers. I couldn't before. It's strange because the tone button doesn't latch really unless it's pushed right back into the case. Okay, I'm going to get this what do you call it? I don't know. Dial plate cover, I suppose, glued back on. As I say, it has been glued before. It looks like super glue, but by the looks of it, it's quite hard and brittle. Of course, as soon as you try to move it, it's just snapped off. It's bound to. So I'm going to put some epoxy on it. That should stop that happening again. So 2-part epoxy, hardener, and the hardener and the resin, so equal amounts of each, hopefully. Don't need a massive amount. Oh, it stinks, this stuff. It takes around about 24 hours to fully harden up. But once it goes off, it should be stronger than the plastic itself, in theory. I want to sort of try and build it up around the outside. Alright, let's pop that piece back on. Should have gloves on for this. Too late now. It's quite a tight fit there. So what I'm going to do is just build up some epoxy around the edges. Yeah, that looks good. I don't think there's any inside. Yeah, that's quite a firm grip, so fingers crossed that'll sort it. So the thing that might go against it is the fact it's got super glue on it, but we'll see. If all else fails, I'll just have to drill it and pin it, but don't want to be doing that really. So that's that job out of the way. Let's get rid of that, so before I get it all over myself. So yeah, I've disconnected that. Basically the black and the yellow are for the external antenna connection. That's the earth, that's the centre pin. And this is the FM and shortwave antenna. So don't need to worry too much about that to test it. Speakers in good nick. So we've got a bit of writing off of here, but again I'm not looking to restore this, just get it working electrically. So what I've got to get at is this board here. So it looks like it's screwed to this switchboard, which is screwed to the front chassis. Oh dear, it's like a Rubik's Cube, this one. So I know I've got signal in and out of that IF can. I've just got to try and trace it further on. So let's whip that amplifier board back out. I don't think I took this bit apart on my previous one. Okay, that comes apart a bit better now. So that's a speaker output, okay. Got a big old electrolytic in there. Probably 90% sure that one's ADAT. That won't be causing that noise though. That noise is definitely generated within the amplifier circuit. Okay, so that capacitor has brought the set back to life as far as output's concerned. But I've still got this really loud hiss from 0 volume right the way up. I'm going to do a couple little servicing jobs. Well, you've seen I've lubricated the tuning capacitor. I'm going to have a go at these switches. They're pretty filthy actually, especially that tone switch. Absolutely filthy. Clear that one off. Now these, say you can't really get at these unless you do take the thing right apart. Which I wouldn't recommend. It's not for the faint-hearted, taking one of these things apart really. I've had worse I suppose, but certainly not easy. Now this is obviously not causing the noise because the noise is in the amplifier section because of the fact it's on through all the bands. It's just really one of those servicing jobs got to be done. Less problems with the set. They're pretty mucky. There we go. Such all out the way. So, I've had a probe around with my signal tracer. I can't find anything much wrong. Basically I am getting output getting quite loud output, but for some reason distorted now. There's a transistor in here that I can't find on any other schematics, a TF65. Well, I really don't know. I've never seen that before, never seen one of those. We've got a mullard that's obviously been out before. That's some pretty bad soldering. In fact, I don't even think that one is. Well, he's just soldered on, so he is making contact, but as I say, unfortunately someone's had a go at this one. You know, I've got to try and work out if these transistors are even in the right orientation in the circuit, and I haven't got an exact circuit diagram for this one. So I also haven't got any transistors that would replace these, so I've got an OC75 there, which is to be expected. It's showing OC75 on my schematic. You know, I have got some voltages on this, but it is a different set, so okay. I've been through all the electrolytics now with my ESR meter, and some good, some bad. Majority bad actually, in fact one very bad. So C143, let's see if I can get you in a little bit better shot there. Let's come in a bit closer. So C143, which is this one that I suspected underneath the filter there, the filter transformer. That one should be 10 microfarads. It's measuring 6.6, so yeah, not major, but the ESR is off a scale over 40 ohms, so that one has absolutely had it. So from the schematic, that is one that I suspected, because it is connected into the base of that transistor, so that's sapping that signal away, I think. Dropping it back down into the volume pot, and that's what the one that could have been causing the noise all along. C145, again a very similar looking capacitor, same 10 microfarads, again 7.2, not that bad, but 10.7 ohms is far too high. I'd expect that to be around 1, if not lower than 1 preferably. C146, 100 microfarads, reading 99.9, 0.5 of an ohm, so that one is good to go. But you know, while you're there changing them, could be good now, in a year's time it could be dead, so it's just as well. 1960, 61, it's definitely worth changing. C147 then, 100 microfarads, this is blue, sort of like plastic coated blue one, should be 100 microfarads, actually way high, 281.6, and the ESR is 1.4, which is fairly high for 100, so that one would have to go. And C197, which is the big one here, again 98.5, so bang on and just under 1 ohm. So certainly there's 3 that are very badly wrong, that need, well, one is like probably the one that's causing the issue, I expect. I wouldn't be surprised if that is the one that's doing it, but as I say, that one and that one both bad. So I'm going to get cracking and pull them out, put some new ones in. So I'm going to use some axials again. I like to try and keep it looking the same. So I've got 100 microfarads. What have we got here? I've got some Spragues. So, I mean, the voltage on these is negligible. I think that's 3 volts. That's 18 volts. And 3 volts. These are 50 volts, so there's not going to be any issues there. So I need 3 100s and 2 10s. That'll do it. So I don't know why they're different sizes or what, who knows. Anyway, I'm going to get them in and then I'm going to give it another try. Okay, just about to solder the last one in. Just thought I'd show you my little fume extractor. See, these are not expensive. Noisy, not expensive. But it does work, look. Especially when you're using flux, it does take it all away. It's its first outing, so thought I'd show you that. There we are. So that's the last one in now. Just going to snip that off. I've redone that appalling joint there as well. It's pretty bad. There we go. So there we are. All the capacitors been replaced. So give me 5 minutes, we'll hook it up and we'll give it another try. Right, welcome back. Still going through this. I'm making progress, but really by process of elimination. So basically, all the electrolytics have been swapped out. That you can see here. This is the amplifier board. It's not the exact one that's fitted, because a couple of the transistors, well, this transistor here, OC71, is different. But what I've done now, this is the input into the amplifier here at the base of this transistor, which is transistor number 6, TRS6 as they call it, which is an OC75. Disconnected that, it's got a couple inputs really. This is the input from the volume control here, coming through this resistor. So I've disconnected it here just before this capacitor. This is the tone control, just switches in this extra capacitance to give a different tone. I've disconnected that, doesn't really make much difference to be fair. And there's also a link across here into the circuit which I've disconnected. So basically I've disconnected 3 wires coming into the amplifier board. So the amplifier is now totally isolated from the rest of the radio. So let me show you where that is. Okay, well, it's decided to focus itself at last. So you can see the yellow, the green and the white wires are disconnected. So that's the input really from the radio into the amplifier. There's another wire there connected up, that's purely an earth wire. I could disconnect that one, I suppose. And then we've got the power wires, so I will just double check those other wires, but I think that's pretty conclusive that there is an issue there. So, what is it? It's not the capacitors, they've been done. It's got to be these transistors, one of them. Now, I would think one of these two. I don't think it would be the output, so it's it's either the driver transistor, which is this one. I'm not sure what you call this one, the pre-driver, I suppose. So what I'll do next is I'll remove the collector of this one, just lift that off the circuit, see if that stops the noise. As I say, let's just play you the noise still. As I say, that's minimum volume. Real noisy still with absolutely no input whatsoever. I'm just going to have a look at these other wires coming in off the radio circuit. Got our, that's got to be live and neutral being switched there by the power. Zoom you back out a little bit. Yeah, so this is the power switch here on the back end of the volume pot. So we've got the blue and the black is the switch. Looks like it's switching the negative by the looks of it. So negative's coming out, being switched and then taken back down to the board. So those two have got to remain. I'm just really wondering what this other black one is under here. Going in. It's just an earth wire. So we'll just pop that one out just to make sure that's not causing an issue. Let's just whip that one out as well, make sure we're not getting any feedback in off of that one. Check that again. Well, that is quieter. Ah, no. That's interesting. Interesting. Yeah, how bizarre. Let's just get the input back on from the rest of the set to see if that makes any difference. So let's pop the volume control back in. R144, which is center one. R144. Bear with me, I'm going to pop the volume controls back in and just leave that one disconnected for a second. Okay, well I've been messing about. I've reconnected the volume control back up, and I would say that we've got power coming through this earth lead, this negative. And looking at the schematic, there is quite a lumpy 400 microfarad capacitor down in here, just taking this to earth. Now if that's leaking and pushing the voltage to earth, that could be causing an issue. So I need to start looking back, probably up in through the capacitors in this section, working my way back through really. Unfortunately, as I say, I thought it was the amplifier, but it might be, it still is probably the amplifier, because it is quite noisy on low volume even with everything disconnected. So yes, more to do. So I've got to find those capacitors next, so I've got to strip the whole lot out, I think. This is where it gets pretty tricky. That big capacitor is right in underneath the speaker there. And it's also, I don't know if you can see it, it's in underneath the speaker. The capacitor is a big, you should be able to see it through there. I'm betting that one's poorly. So I've got to take the speaker out, and I might even have to take the board out itself. Happy days. The joys of radio repair. So I'm going to take a few photos and I'm going to start stripping it down. Join me again in a minute. Right, after a fight, the speaker is out. You can see underneath here this big 400 microfarad capacitor. So that's, see, this is connected directly to chassis ground. It's a big old capacitor. Let's get my ESR meter on it and we'll see what it's doing. Let's get down a little bit. Okay, well actually, alright, so it's 519 microfarads. It is in circuit. Okay. Probably worth changing, but not the dead short I was thinking of. So what else we got in here? We got a couple more. We got one there. Well, that one says in circuit or leaky. Well, it is in circuit, but it could well be leaky as well. Try that one. And that's showing high ESR. So, there actually isn't a lot of electrolytics in this set, which is always good news. So I'm going to have to try and get this board out even further. There's plenty holding this in. Sorry, you're not in the shot there, am I? There's plenty holding this in. Looks like I've got to take this up right here out of the way. And there's two screws holding it to the switchboard in underneath. One in underneath here and the other one up over the top in there. So we've got some transistors. I'm going to probably go through and check most of the stuff on this board, because what I don't want to do is put all this back together and then have to take it all out again. So I'm going to get that off and join me again in a minute. Okay, just thought I'd show you what this this is looking like. This is major surgery now. Are you going to focus for me? Yes, you are. Just trying to get this capacitor here in. I've had to pull this panel out of the way. I'm just hoping that no wires come off. I've got the sort of switch panel eased gently out of the way. I don't really want to start unsoldering all the wires. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. So what I'm doing is just trying to get this this capacitor here flat down on the board. As I say, it's not big enough to get my desoldering tool into, so it's just a case of trying to put it through. Doesn't want to play. There we are. So yeah, not the easiest radio to work on, but you know, got to have a bit of a challenge. Let's tack that side in first. So I'm popping a brand new axial capacitor in here. I was going to use a radio to keep the cost down, but then say all these components have got to be fairly low level, low profile. Okay. Check the circuit diagram on that, because it doesn't look particularly attractive, that. Well, those two pads are soldered together, so that's fine. Just wanted to check that. Let's say there has been work done on this, so it's highly likely that somebody may have put a wire back in the wrong place, and I've got limited info on this radar, so if that is the case, we really are going to be in trouble. Okay, that's that one done. And my wire snippers, let's cut that off. Let's give it a little touch up. There we go. Right, that's that little monster out of the way. On to the next one. Okay, been busy. Been just having a look through my transistor stock to see if I can find a transistor to replace the pre-driver, which is an OC75, which is this one here. It's usually any noise there just gets amplified right the way through, so it's best to do them in that order really. So I haven't got any OC75s. The nearest I can get is an AC126. So I've been and popped one of those in. Right, so that's the one I've replaced there. Hooked back up to the power. Everything's as it should be. All the wires are soldered back on. There we go. So minimum volume. Dead quiet. There you go. Job done. Fixed. A dodgy OC75 pre-driver. I believe it's a pre-driver anyway, because two driver stages in this one. I have put it on the tester, and all I could say is basically it's gone very low gain. HFE's 13 on it. Which the new one's 210, but obviously that wasn't causing the issue. But certainly that has done the trick. Absolutely brilliant. So this one is going back together. Job done. So I'll get it all back together and we'll give it a final test.